What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter's at ImacSports.
Instagram is also at MLB
TikTok, YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It's episode 279, and we got our Super Bowl matchup. It is New England and Seattle going to Santa Clara, Super Bowl 60. Should be a great game. We'll talk a little bit in a second here about the championship games and what happened, but two very close games. We'll take that at least there, but Senior Bowl practice just started today. Feels like a perfect time with a little gap before the Super Bowl to talk some NFL draft.
Yeah, pretty easy week here. I'd say this is usually the week that we have a bunch of hypotheticals and weird lists. I think last year we ranked the last 10 Super Bowls in terms of like fun to watch or whatever. So we're not going to do that again because we would only add one Super Bowl to the list. So we're going to have the full round one mock, Kyle 1.0, Skyler 18.0, whatever it may be there.
Maybe.
But yeah, good week of football this past week. We got some good UFC matches as well too, which is cool to see. First time on Paramount Plus, you actually have to watch pay-per-view there. So I was able to watch in HD instead of streaming illegally, which is cool. But yeah, we'll just get right into it with the opener. Tell me about this 2026 NBA draft class.
Okay. So, Kyle, this weekend, there were 7 or 8 true freshmen across college basketball who all scored 30-plus points and won the game for their team. This draft class for the NBA, after a couple of letdowns, we were lucky Cooper Flagg reclassified because he's supposed to be in this class too. There are going to be some game-changing guys. So I figured I'd talk about some of the top guys real quick on Tankathon, just so we know where everybody's at, because I'm really excited. Even though the Warriors aren't going to be in the top 10 or anything you would think, if they do end up in the lottery, there's always a chance here. So Tankathon as the number 1 pick, Washington Wizards taking Darren Peterson, 6'6", two-way guard from Kansas. So I'm a really big Cam Boozer guy, and we'll get to him too. I'm a really big AJ DeBonsa guy, but I get why Darren Peterson's number 1 for them. He's scoring 20-plus points a game. It's kind of the closest thing to Anthony Edwards you would want if he does hit his prime. That's why he's here. He was banged up a little bit, but he should be back this week for Kansas. Number 2, they have Indiana taking Cam Boozer, the guy I was just talking about. 6'9", 250, power forward from Duke. Once you start watching some of him, he's going to be your favorite prospect, Kyle. He's like if Paulo was able to have a kid with Joel Embiid. It's like the amount of power plus the footwork of a dancer. It's incredible, honestly, when you're watching Duke. Yeah, you're going to like him. The third guy, almost like a big 3 right now, fighting for the number 1 pick. They have Atlanta Hawks via New Orleans, who's been terrible. AJ DeBonsa, BYU. 6'10", super scorer, 24 points per game, leading this very average BYU team of history, other than Jimmer, to a top 25 and a very good seed. He's amazing to watch. He's got ridiculous length. He's trying to become a shooter. And, good for him, too. I know sometimes he'll go 1 for 8, but if you don't try, you'll never know. That's why some guys, once they get into the league, like Brook Lopez, it takes them 10 years to figure it out. Man, number 4, Caleb Wilson, power forward, North Carolina. It just keeps getting exciting, right? This guy is 6'10", anchor on defense, freshman, 20 points per game, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, defensive menace. I'll stop it right there so we can just get on with the show. But just so you know, I'm very excited. There's about 12 freshmen who are going to go very early and score right away.
Yeah, it's a good thing for the NBA. It does seem like there's been a bit of lack of talent in the league infused in the past couple of years. My opener, pretty cool. Got the privilege to watch Sharks game in row 2 a couple of days ago, and seeing Macklin Celebrini up close is really, really cool. It's a game where the Sharks scored 3 goals in the first 8 minutes of the game. Winded up winning 3-1, so they didn't score again. But in the first 8 minutes, Celebrini scored 2 goals, one of them from assisted by Will Smith by like a backhand blind pass backwards. And then Celebrini just put a strike right into the top of the net, and that was pretty cool to see from my angle. So I definitely say that's the coolest thing I saw. probably the best thing I saw as well too, because my football team hasn't hired a head coach. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. Steph was sitting out. And the A's haven't really done anything either in the past couple of weeks. So Macklin Celebrini, shout out to you. Also very cool skin to they honored him pregame for being on Team Canada in the Olympics, which will be cool to watch him play there. Although I heard the ice for the Olympics is like really fucked up. Like they made the rink like 4 feet shorter than what it needed to be or something. So I guess the Winter Olympics will not be going back to Milo Cortana or whatever, wherever they are in Italy again. But at least he'll be on the team.
So Macklin just as magical in person.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And just as young, which is crazy. Born in 2006. Moving on, though, to where's your head at? Not yet.
Not
Close. Player, defensive player, and rookie of the week in the NFL. Only 2 games, of course, so maybe slim pickings when it gets to rookie of the week. We did have some showouts there. We'll start off with the player of the week. Skyler, who do you choose?
I'm going Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't think I can just pick one. So they're going to be my co-winners. The Rams could not stop them. You know, the Rams offense was great in this game, but they just could not get off the field. Darnold has 300 plus, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. And he was throwing it a lot at the end of the game, too. When most teams would have chewed the clock, just punted it back to him, gave the Rams a chance. Sam Darnold closed that baby out. But I also got to give it to JSN, too, because he had 10 for 153, a touchdown, one-handed catches, diving catches, going up the middle against anybody over the middle. It was epic, an epic game for Seattle.
Go Sam Darnold for my player of the week solely. Like you said, late in the game, they weren't really just trying to run the ball, get out of there, just not trying to lose type play. They were making plays trying to win the football game, and I think that's been a bit different than what we've seen Seattle do at some points this year. Throwing the ball 36 times is more than I expected going into this game as well, too. Ends up having 346, 3 touchdowns, and doing a really good job of not turning a bad play into an even worse play, which used to be the thing that ailed Sam Darnold a ton when he was with the Jets, as you know, and even Carolina, and sometimes even prior this year with the Seahawks, he did not do that because one of those turnovers probably would have changed how this game goes, and the Rams would probably be going to the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold played a perfect game in my eyes, and that's why he gets it just over JSN, who was great as well too. But I think there's a lot of scheme from JSN that got him open. Obviously the scheme didn't make the one-handed catch, have the guts to go over the middle, make all these plays and whatnot. But I think Sam Darnold gets the slight edge for me. Also, shout out to Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua. Yeah. Those guys played really good as well, too. I feel like worth mentioning there. Defensive player of the week, who'd you choose here?
I feel like I have to go from the game in Denver. So I went with Christian Gonzalez. And I know it was snowing and there wasn't much going on for Denver's offense. But in a game like this, where New England has to play a lot of cover 0, even cover 1, they're not going to be giving Christian Gonzalez a whole lot of help. He was on an island. He eventually does just completely shut down Jarrett Stidham in the second half, comes away with a big interception too.
I'll go Christian Gonzalez as well too. The interception looked very easy, but he made a really good play to make it look very easy. Diving back in the snow to make that play is not easy, of course, with the wind being the way that it is, and him being a defensive back to have the wherewithal to, hey, they're probably going to test me here, turn around and make the play, pretty nonchalantly as well too. So Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the NFL, got burnt earlier in the game, but makes the game-winning play that sends the Patriots to the Super Bowl for the first time in 5+ years. Rookie of the week. I thought this was going to be tough until I realized the performance of one guy.
I thought Nick Emenwari was awesome in this game. The Seattle safety was everywhere for the Seahawks. In the box, unstoppable as a run blitzer. He eventually moves back to an actual free safety position late in the game. And both times on third down, he breaks up a pass from Puka and Davante Adams. I thought that was definitely a standout, not just for a rookie. He was one of the best players on Seattle this weekend.
Yeah, Nick Emenwari for sure for me as well too. This was a guy, when he says South Carolina, I think we both kind of identified as a guy that could be really good in the league. Goes in the second round, pick 35 to the Seahawks, so it's not like he was a late round pick or anything like that. Just three picks away from being picked in the first round. But he showed out in this game. Really, doesn't have a specialty as a safety, has the ability to do it all. That's not something that you see pretty often from young safeties. I think it's usually you're in the box or you're playing coverage, and he's got the ability to go do both, which I think is really cool. So Lenoir has 3 pass breakups in this game, and he's my rookie of the week quite easily in this one, and has a good chance to be one of the best safeties in the league for a long time. So moving on to the main events, the first mock draft of the year for me, or at least public mock draft. I think I made one back in like November, but I really was just clicking the top guy on PFF over and over again. So we'll start off by giving some of the parameters here. We did no trades. Obviously, there's going to be trades in the first round of the NFL draft. But if we're going to go, second pick, I have the Jets. So second pick, I actually have the Miami Dolphins here. Something crazy like that, then things get a little bit too messy. If we don't do any trades, things should feel a bit easier to keep track of. So no trades. Obviously, up to date with all this stuff as far as commitments and whatnot. So we'll get started. Pick number 1. And this one's just, trial run here. Who do the Raiders take at number 1?
Yeah, that's Fernando Mendoza. Very easily champion. I'll let you take it from here, man. This is your team.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to even say at this point. Mendoza is going to be the first overall pick. It doesn't really matter who the Raiders go with at head coach. There's a lot of Raider fans panicking. Kubiak doesn't want to be a head coach. Davis Webb is going to stay in Denver now that he can be the OC. They're going to get one of those 2 guys, I'd imagine. They're going to pick Mendoza. And even if it's not one of those 2 guys, they're still going to pick Mendoza because you don't have a better situation than what you have right here. If the Raiders aren't picking Mendoza, then they're not picking first overall. I'll say that for sure with absolute certainty. And if they are picking one, then they're going to be taking Fernando. So national championship quarterback goes 1. Take it to the Jets at number 2.
All right.
Bit of a different look here now that Dante Moore is not in the draft.
Yeah, I'm trying to be predictive on this mock draft too, as much as I can, being this early in the process, more so than what I want to do here. So I think the Jets are going to try to pick who they think is the best defensive player here. Bain has the size and the balance, probably the guy I would take. Bailey has the production, the most sacks, but I think the pick is leaning Arvell Reese right now just because he's such an athletic freak at linebacker. Can Aaron Glenn turn this guy into something? We need help at linebacker and edge, so it's kind of the best of both worlds if one of them doesn't work out. You would prefer him to be that Micah Parsons type if it's possible, though, more so than the linebacker.
Yeah, number 2 with the Jets, I think if trades are possible, they'd probably trade back here because the guy I'd circle would be Caleb Downs, although I think it's a little bit too early to pick Caleb Downs here. So I did have him going Arvell Reese as well too. Ruben Bain I think will be really good. I think there's some doubts about him just because of his arm length, but I think he'll be fine. I still don't think that's the pick here. I think Arvell Reese, Ohio State, is a bit of an easier pick. Feels a bit more two-dimensional as a linebacker. So Reese goes 2. 3 for the Cardinals.
All right, for the Cardinals, I'm taking Spencer Fano. Utah tackle. I don't think you can take Simpson here at number 3. I actually do like the Cardinals defense too. So I'm thinking we fix the O-line. They want to make the quotation, the safe pick here after their recent couple drafts. So I think it doesn't get much better than a pretty good offensive lineman here, Spencer Fano.
I think number 3, tackle would be interesting. I think it's maybe a little bit too early to take Fanu or Muaga. So I went with Ruben Bain, probably best player available at this point for the Cardinals. Big boards probably have him 1 or 2. And if you get him at 3, that's probably a good spot. So Cardinals take best player. Whether who's coach there, might affect it. If it's Michael LaFleur, maybe they go tackle or might be inclined more to go tackle. But I think Ruben Bain's the best player, and I think that's the guy who they could take at 3. Number 4, the Titans. Interesting spot here for Robert Saleh and Cam Ward.
For the Titans, I will take Ruben Bain here from Miami. Saleh's going to have a really hard time resisting Ruben Bain if he is here at number 4. It's exactly what he's looking for, already ready to just be a big dog. And even if his arms do stop him, just be a great force in the run game too. Maybe they get forced to go receiver here, but you can always get one later too. So I went with Ruben Bain.
Yeah, something to preface, I should have said before any of my picks here is I think I'm going more based off the needs than the players right now, because I don't have great understandings of all these players outside of maybe the guys in the top 5 to 10. But I do have an understanding of what these teams need, because I've watched all these teams play, pretty much every single game the entire season. And the thing that stands out for me with the Titans is a wide receiver. They need a wideout that you can go throw the ball to at any time. That Cam Warren doesn't have to make these crazy plays to go get the ball to. So I went with Carnell Tate at number 4. Maybe a bit of a shock that he's the first guy off the board for a wide receiver. But I think it makes sense. If the Titans had the chance to take Ruben Bain, I think Saleh would be, more static than we've ever seen him for a very ecstatic guy to go get him. But he's not there. Carnell Tate's a pretty good, consolation gift for that. So he goes number 4 to the Titans. Number 5.
All right, number 5 with the New York Giants. I'm going Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State. You can't read too much into the rumors right now. We're not even into the Senior Bowl more than a day. But I do agree with Daniel Jeremiah saying that the Giants need DB. It might be too high for Mansour Delane, maybe not. We'll get to Jermon McCoy later and the issues there. So Caleb Downs can for sure help them slow down the Cowboys at the very least.
The Giants are interesting. I feel like they have a lot of money spent in a whole bunch of different places, even on the defense. For a defense that was pretty bad last year, I don't think they go, straight up D-line pick like an edge rusher or a D tackle. DB is interesting. Caleb Downs is a guy I wanted to put here, but I did go Sonny Styles. I think it just makes a bit more sense. Harbaugh, first year there, wants to get like a quarterback of his defense, and I think Sonny Styles can kind of play that for them.
We'll get to him in a second. Oh, yeah.
Number 6 with the Browns.
Number 6 with the Browns, I will go Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. Carnell Tate isn't my number 1 receiver, just like you were saying, but I can definitely see why he would be the first guy taken. Cleveland needs a deep threat. I hate Jerry Jeudy. I do think that this kind of prospect is a lot closer to Brian Thomas than a Tedero McMillan stepping in and dominating, but you're always looking for a red zone threat. This is the best one in the draft. So he goes first.
Number 6 for the Browns. Maybe a bit of a surprise, maybe slightly early. I did go Mekhi Lemon from USC wide receiver here for the Browns. Obviously, they need a target for Shedeur or Deshaun Watson, whoever's throwing the football for them. I think they would love to get Tate. I think Jordan Tyson would have been fun as well, too. But I think Mekhi Lemon has the, possible like number 2, number 3 wide receiver in the league type vibe to him. I don't think he'll get there, but I think Cleveland will definitely want to have the guy that has the higher ceiling than say a Jordan Tyson does. So Mekhi Lemon is the guy that goes 6. Do I think he's better than Tyson? I don't know, but I think the Browns like him more than they like Jordan Tyson. That's why he goes number 6. Number 7, the Washington Commanders.
I'm going to give Washington Sonny Styles here at 7 from Ohio State. So that's 3 Buckeyes in a row. We know Washington needs defense. 6'5" Sonny Styles is just a complete freak. Many have compared him to Fred Warner. A very, very similar to Arvell Reese, even though they play a lot of off-ball linebacker. It's more about the potential outweighing the positional value. So I agree. I could definitely see Sonny Styles going in the top 10 too.
Number 7, the Commanders take Caleb Downs in my eyes. This is probably the best player in the draft, although I just think taking a safety over an edge rusher or a wide receiver or a quarterback won't happen nowadays. Maybe a linebacker. I think you can see scenarios where he goes ahead of Styles, but I think they are pretty interchangeable of who you take. This is practically the quarterback of your defense in the secondary or at the linebacker position, and I think the Commanders are just okay with whoever they get there, and Caleb Downs is a great pick at 7. I think it's an A-plus pick. Number 8 with the Saints.
All right, number 8 with New Orleans. I'm going Jeremiah Love, running back Notre Dame. I suggested this to you like a couple months ago on the podcast. Like, hey, if Kellen Moore can convince these guys to go offense again, now it's looking even better for them, winning the South with a rough-looking defense. If you can dominate on offense, I'm not going to be disappointed in this pick. I think this is definitely something they're contemplating right now.
Yeah, Kellen Moore was the OC for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl last year, and that offense is really, really built around Saquon Barkley and the run game. Offensive line as well, too, of course, but that was probably the least QB reliant Super Bowl winning team that we've seen in 15, 20 years, maybe. So I think the Saints want to get back to that. They're not going to do it with Devin Neal at running back. So Jeremiah Love is a pick for me as well, too. Really hope the Saints take him here also because I don't want the Chiefs to have him because that is nightmare fuel for me, which then takes us to number 9 with the Chiefs.
All right, number 9 at the Chiefs. A couple of the fan favorite guys are gone, right? Like Caleb Downs, they would definitely take. Jeremiah Love, you would think they would definitely take. So I'm just going to go best defensive player available. For me, that's going to be Peter Woods, interior from Clemson. So that's why I took him here. Clemson has a terrible season all around, but I do think a lot of their defensive guys in a vacuum are still going to end up going very high because they have a dominant 3-year stretch, not just 1 year of popping up. A lot of people know these guys. Peter Woods is, top 3 on a lot of guys on NFL Network. I'm not going quite that far, but hey, if Chris Jones is going to retire in a year or two, then try to find his replacement now while you're picking in the top 10.
I think an easy pick for teams that are maybe falling out of the Super Bowl window that don't have a ton of cap space is to go try to get a player with their top pick that is at a position that usually demands a ton of cap space if you were to go get somebody in free agency or trade for a guy. So I gave the Chiefs an edge rusher, usually one of the highest paid positions in the NFL. And if you get a young guy who's pretty much free for 5 years, I think it's worth it. I don't know too much about the player, but David Bailey is a pick from Texas Tech for me. Couldn't tell you what he looks like, but he goes high up in these things, and I think it'd be, a good positional fit, like I've said in the past, for the Chiefs at number 9.
He wears no gloves. It's a trip watching him.
Oh, God. Yeah. Broken fingers galore. Number 10.
So number 10 is where I have David Bailey. He's going to go to Cincinnati here. Former Stanford prod. He's a pass rush specialist, and he had a very, very special season, 14 and a half sacks. That's why he's being considered here. But there's some off-field stuff. He fought a cameraman after a game this year, so I don't know where he's going to end up, honestly, but his talent is definitely in the top 10 here. Cincinnati it could be one of those teams. It just takes one to fall in love with them, and that terrible Cincinnati pass rush could definitely use him.
Number 10, Cincinnati, their defense has no identity. If I'm building the defense from the ground up, I go with D-line and specifically D-tackle to start because you got to stop the run. So Peter Woods is my pick here. Will the Bengals do that? Probably not. They'll probably pick a guard or a center at 10 or something like that. That just makes you say, what the hell? But the right pick in my eyes is to go D-line and go interior D-line with Peter Woods. Number 11, the Miami Dolphins.
All right, I got the Dolphins going. Mekhi Lemon, the receiver at a USC. I think this guy's going to be an absolute demon. The way he goes over the middle with no regard for human life just shows me a couple things. He's got no fear at all, and that he plays very similar to the 2 guys from the NFC Championship game, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Can he get there? Who knows? But he's got the blueprint, so he's going to go early.
Number 11 for the Dolphins. Wide receiver position is interesting for them. Will Tyreek Hill be back? I don't know. If he is back, does he come back the same Tyreek Hill that we expect him to? Probably not. So I went with Jordan Tyson, number 11. I think he's an easy player to scheme around if you are an offensive team because you don't need to do much. You can kind of just throw him screen, give him the ball in the run game if you really need to. He's a good after-the-catch guy. Knows what to do with the football in his hands. So Jordan Tyson, now with Jeff Hafley at head coach, I think makes a lot of sense. Although I wouldn't be shocked if Hafley, tries to take one of these young DBs or something like that to bolster. I don't know if I'd say an old defense, but I think Jordan Tyson makes sense for the team as a whole at 11. Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. Always interesting.
Yeah, speaking of one of those young DBs, I'm going to have Mansour Delane going here. Corner from LSU, formerly Va-Tech, 6 foot, 200 pounds, very physical outside corner. Cowboys just cut Trayvon Diggs, so they're going to need a corner at some point. How about they take him first here?
Number 12, Jerry's going to have some influence here. I think he wants to get a pass rusher again. So I went with Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. So some in Texas blood there. And I think after trading Michael away, might just be the way that Jerry wants to go. And if Shoddy even has an influence with this pick, he probably picks the guy as well too. So Cassius Howell, 12 to the Cowboys. Brings us to number 13 with the Los Angeles Rams, who own the pick of the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you have the Rams taking at 13?
The Rams are going to be ecstatic in this simulation because Jordan Tyson is still here for me. Some of the playmakers are going to fall in this draft, especially if defense goes early. It's a very good defensive class. So I think the Rams would already love a receiver like Jordan Tyson in the slot. You can't run Mumpfield and Davis Allen as your X and your Y. If Puka comes out for a couple plays, that's just not going to work, man. So Jordan Tyson could fall with some hamstring issues. And he's just that guy who's always got a pulled hamstring. So maybe he doesn't go top 6.
Number 13 with the Rams. I don't have a tackle off the board yet. This is where one goes. One of those teams a little bit different than the Chiefs, but, maybe you could say declining. Hasn't made the Super Bowl in a few years at this point, but made the playoffs in each year. Chance to take a position that usually requires a lot of money to get better at, that you can practically take for free at this point. So Spencer Fanu is my pick here for the Rams. Gives a big tackle to Matt Stafford if he wants to come back. And I think it's a pretty good way to get your quarterback to come back.
Yeah.
Number 14, the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, with Baltimore, I'm going Francis Maui-Noah, offensive line from Miami. So they call him CC Maui-Noah. That's what they call him, not Francis over there. So we'll see if he's one of those guys who's known as a different name in the NFL. But the important stuff now, awesome in the playoffs at right tackle. He could very well end up at guard, which is Baltimore's biggest need on the offense right now. Maybe they go, hey, it's such a great defensive line class. Let's just make sure we get a really good offensive lineman first year.
Number 14 with the Ravens. Interesting team. I think, you don't really expect this team to be picking 14 with the year or the team that they have, the roster that they have. Jesse Minter, head coach now. I think he goes defensive side of the ball. And I think the run defense has been a little interesting for Baltimore the past couple of years. So I have Caleb Banks from Florida being the guy for them.
Apparently it was really good in practice today.
There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going 13. Number 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are they going to take another wide receiver?
Actually, very close, because I had the Tampa Bay Bucks taking Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. I think Todd Bowles is always going to be able to bring in free agents on defense. And with these upper tier front 7 players already off the board, they opt to go get Baker some more help, because Cade Otton is a free agent, probably not the level of receiver they want. If Sonny Styles is here, they're running it up to the board, maybe even trading up for him too, but they just luck out here, and Sadiq was the best player left.
Number 15 with the Bucks. I have him going DB, the first DB since Caleb Downs. This one's a corner though, Mansour Delane. I saw it on, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. He had him going number 5, which I think is a bit higher than what could happen. But 15 seems to be a steady spot for him. Bucks were having some interesting spots at corner this year as well too. A lot of injuries. I think Mansour Delane kind of helps shore that spot up. Back to the Jets at number 16 as we're halfway through round 1. Who do the Jets take with their second first-round pick?
At 16, I'm very unenthusiastically taking Ty Simpson here. Again, I don't know if I would personally do this at 16, but this is why you have 2 first-round picks. The Jets need to rebuild the entire quarterback room. That includes somebody from this class, whether it's here or later. Of course, if they get Kyler Murray or they trade for somebody, then they probably wouldn't need to take somebody in the first 4 rounds. But I'm thinking worst case scenario, they end up with a Tyrod and a Kirk Cousins, and they have to draft Ty Simpson here.
Yeah, Jet spot is interesting. Like I said, for number 2, I think they probably trade back in the grand scheme of things. Maybe they, move back. I don't know what the situation would be, but it'd probably end up being 3 total first-round picks that they have, like maybe like a 7, 16, and then mid-20s as well too. I don't know how that's exactly going to work with the teams that currently have picks, because you can't really just get whatever pick you want. You got to trade with the team's picks that they have, of course. But I do think Ty Simpson's probably the pick here. Feels kind of defaulty, so I don't love it, but makes sense. And even if the Jets figure out something else at the quarterback position, maybe they still go this way. It really just depends how the pre-draft workouts work out and stuff like that, because he was playing really good in the playoff until he wasn't playing really good against Indiana, which not a lot of quarterbacks did. So Ty Simpson 16 brings us to 17 with the Detroit Lions.
I'm running Caden Proctor, Alabama left tackle, up to the board here. Apparently, Proctor just showed up to the Shrine Bowl last week and talked with the Lions head scout for over an hour in front of everybody. And he's a project, but maybe the perfect project for the Lions, being an athletic freak at that size, at that position. Another team that hopes to not be picking in this top half area ever again. So go with the potential, I guess.
17 for the Lions. I give him an edge rusher. They dealt with a ton of injuries there the past couple of years. So Akeem Mesidor is a pick for me. Coming from the Natty, of course. I think his draft stock shot up quite a bit in those couple of games that he played. So Mesidor goes 17, maybe a bit higher than what he's usually looked at. 18 with the Minnesota Vikings.
With Minnesota, I'm going to go Jermon McCoy, corner from Tennessee. He has not played in over a year. That's why if you go look at a mock draft or a board, everybody's going to have him in a different spot. And there is a completely different range. I think he's more of a Will Johnson situation than a Derek Stingley, because he did tear his ACL. He wasn't just sitting out. But the Vikings have had the worst possible luck ever when it comes to corner, so they are going to be willing to take this risk here.
18, quarterback Jermon McCoy. You said he has a whole different range. We actually have him in the same exact spot, so kind of funny there. I think it's a perfect defense for a guy who's been injured a ton. You're not going to be asked to do a ton as a corner in the Minnesota Vikings defense that blitzes, 50% of the time, assuming Brian Flores doesn't somehow get a job that we don't know that he's even been interviewing for in the past couple of weeks. He's going to be their defensive coordinator. If he's their defensive coordinator, they're going to blitz the hell out of teams. You're only going to have to cover for a couple of seconds regardless. And I think that works with him. I think it's easier on him than it would be on, say, like even a Chargers defense. It's really good, but they don't blitz as much. Just kind of play coverage, make smart plays. I think it makes sense for the Vikings, so I have him at 18 to them. Number 19, the Carolina Panthers, into the playoff teams.
Yeah. With Carolina, I'm going Caleb Lomu. He was playing left tackle for Utah this year. I think they're going to continue to invest around Bryce Young. Ike Ekwonu has had terrible injury luck throughout his entire career, so it may just be that time to go find another tackle. If your offense isn't functioning correctly, that's usually the problem. He was great at Utah at tackle, even though he is looked at as a potential guard. Either way, absolute run mauler, should be able to fit here wherever he ends up.
Panthers are a weird team. I don't think they have a ton of super glaring needs, but they have a lot of spots that they can improve on. What better than D-line? Caden McDonald from Ohio State is the pick for me. Number 20, with the Packers pick, going to the Cowboys.
I'm finally getting the Cowboys their edge rusher. I have Keldrick Falk from Auburn. I don't think Falk is going in the top 10. There's been a lot of talk, some people think from his agent, about how much he's rising up the boards right now. But there's some edge rusher smokescreen going on. So every year there's a guy like this. He's like 10th on the big board, but he doesn't actually have any pass rush moves, kind of like Karlaftis. He's 270 pounds, maybe plays half his career at D tackle. He just feels like a cowboy. So that's why I took corner first.
Yeah, I went edge rusher with the first pick for the Cowboys. Jerry Jones obviously had that agenda in his mind. So what does he do at the 20th pick? He takes another edge rusher. Keldrick Falk is my pick here as well, too. Although I don't know if it's a bad thing. You saw the Falcons kind of do the same thing last year where they took two edge rushers super high up in the draft, and I think they both had pretty good rookie seasons. So Keldrick Falk goes into Dallas. If it's the right pick, I don't really know. I think it's Jerry's pick, and that's how I'm picking here. So Keldrick Falk, 20 to not the Packers, was the Packers, to the Cowboys. 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This has been a very popular one for me. I'm keeping Denzel Boston over here, wide receiver from Washington. DK Metcalf needs to not return next year at all. Denzel Boston, one of the best one-on-one deep guys this year at 6'4", We just got to see how he runs at the combine. He could go higher than this. He could go in the second round. We just got to figure out if he's slow or was taking advantage of the Big Ten tiny corners like D'Angelo Pons, or if he's legit and is going to go early here.
Number 21 with the Steelers. This is a team that doesn't have any young identity for me here. Is Mike McCarthy looking to go young? I really don't know. I have Francis Mwaga here. I know his last name actually isn't Mwaga, but I don't know actually how to say it correctly. So,
I know it only because his brother's on the Jets.
Okay. Well, he goes to the Steelers here. Pretty safe pick, I'd say. And the Steelers make out well for the 21st pick. On to number 22 with the Los Angeles Chargers.
All right, so with the Chargers, I'm going to go Vega Ione. That is the guard from Penn State. I know it's a very tricky name, but another thing I picked up from NFL Network, just call him Vega. So that is Vega. Great guards, always find their way into the first round, so I didn't overthink it here. Mekhi Becton was terrible last year. The Chargers have got to protect Herbert, and they have got to protect their newly found running game here with Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I didn't know how to say this guy's name either, but I also have the pick, Vega Ione. It makes it easier here. From Penn State, first guard off the board, 22 to the Chargers, I think makes sense with how many injuries they dealt with and how much shitty guard play they dealt with in general. Number 23, the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, I'm going to give Philadelphia another defensive back here. Seems to be one of their, well, when I say issues, I should say personnel issues. They definitely got some internal issues outside of this, but I'm going to give him Colton Hood, the corner from Tennessee. Philly needs another one. There are some good corners left here. Colton Hood took over as the lockdown guy at Tennessee with McCoy out for the year. A physical corner. He could tackle really well. They always need these kind of guys in the secondary. He's actually at Colorado playing across from Travis last year, too. He's got plenty of tape out there. I think he's going to be a first-round pick.
The needs for Philly aren't super big. I'd say there's a lot of really good players throughout this team, young and old. And I know their GM is definitely going to make trades if they feel like they're in bad spots. So I don't know if I'd say corner is a huge need, but I did go with the corner as well, too. It's Avion Terrell for me. I don't know if he's related to AJ Terrell. Okay. That makes sense. Clemson DB, last name Terrell. Makes sense. So I figured maybe same first initial as well, too. So I have him going to Philly. You know, another defense, you don't really need to do too much, and probably a good spot to take a corner round one. Number 24 was the Jacksonville pick, ends up being the Cleveland pick. This was from the Travis Hunter trade last year. Who did the Browns take at 24?
I'm giving the Browns some more protection for the offense. I gave him Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia. I didn't think he would leave early, but with experience playing 1 year on right tackle and then 1 year at left tackle, I think this guy has some really great technique coming from Georgia. I think that would be good enough to get him taken in the first round.
Browns wide receiver room is super interesting. I gave him Mekhi Lemon earlier on. If Jim Schwartz is the head coach, this probably doesn't happen. But if it's Shieldhouse or Shieldhouse, however you say his last name, I think you're going to completely try to rebuild the wide receiver room, and I don't think you're going to be able to get a ton of free agents to come into Cleveland to go play wide receiver. So Casey Concepcion is my pick here. They get him and Mekhi Lemon in the first round, two kind of yin and yang wide receivers, which will be fun to watch. Maybe won't be the greatest in year one, being as that there's no real veteran presence in that room, and their tight end is in year two, but it'll be kind of fun to watch in comparison to this past year. So I have him going 24. 25, the Chicago Bears.
The Bears have put in so much time on the offense. It's time to take a look at the other side. Caden McDonald, D-tackle from Ohio State, fantastic player. Another guy, maybe top 10 on a lot of people's boards, but he falls here. It was just really hard to find a spot for interior D-line in this draft, but they're going to come eventually. 320 pounds. He has a pass rushing bag, too, which is a lot more than most people ask from their D-tackle. So I got the Bears here. I don't think they need to do much more on the offense yet.
25 with the Bears. I wanted to do Kenyon Sadiq. Cole Kmet maybe out. I think it'd be something that Ben Johnson, mad scientist, offensive guru, could probably even do, especially with offenses leaning a bit more to tight end sets. But I went C.J. Allen, linebacker from Georgia. A lot of injuries in the linebacker core for Chicago this past year. Their defense is kind of good at DB. Outside of that, it's really rough. So I think somebody in the front seven, CJ Allen, makes a lot of sense. 26 Buffalo Bills.
I'm giving the Bills KC Concepcion, the receiver. The advanced numbers don't love him, but you know what? He's got good speed. He's got good hands. He's a good rack guy. The Bills can't really afford to be picky at this point. They just need to get a receiver after all this Keon Coleman nonsense.
Yeah, 26 for the Bills. They don't have any downfield threat at all on this roster. And I think Joe Brady now is, an offensive-minded head coach. First time that they've had that in 10 plus years. They go get a guy that can catch the ball, 20 plus yards down the field, that can spread out the defense, and Josh Allen can get the ball too. And Denzel Boston's exactly that guy. So I have him going to Buffalo at 26. 27.
All right, 27 with San Francisco. I gave him Jennings Dunker, right tackle from Iowa. In a very good edge class, I'm thinking they go O-line first because they can afford to wait a little bit. So they go with Dunker, another run-blocking demon, right? You don't have to think very hard about that coming from Iowa. I think it would be a good fit. Trent Williams ain't going to play forever, man.
27, the Niners did not get to the pass or the quarterback at all this past year. I know Nick Bosa was hurt, but he's going to be coming back from, I believe it's his second torn ACL, maybe even his third.
Yeah. Well, he did it at MetLife for sure.
He did it at college, didn't he, as well, too, or something like that? Or was that a core injury? But he was out for a while in college. I know that. He's starting to get to the back half of his career. Regardless, I think they need an edge rusher either way. They dealt with also Michael Williams having a bunch of injuries early on in his career. They get my favorite name in the draft, R. Mason Thomas. Where did that R come from? I don't know. But he's on the Niners.
He's fun.
Number 28.
All right, with the Houston Texans here, I'm going O-line again. I got Emmanuel Pregnon, another guard. He's from Oregon, absolute demon at Wyoming, and they found him, brought him over. He was great. So Houston keeps the O-line trend going before the second round ends because it may end up being all edge and receiver in the second round. So they'll have plenty of options there too. You got to keep CJ Stroud standing upright if you ever want to get over the hump. Houston can keep filling out that defense later, but to get an instant starter at guard, I think is an offer they will not resist.
Texans are pretty set all over the board. I'd say defense, they don't have a need. On offense, I think they're pretty good at a weapon standpoint. Maybe they'll probably take a running back at some point in this draft, but I don't think there's anybody at 28 that's worth taking here. So I went Emmanuel Pregnon as well, too. Might as well try to help CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, this is probably his, I don't want to say last year, but last year as a Texan starter, if he does not have an increase in production than what we've seen the past couple of years, with most likely a stacked QB class coming in 2027. So Pregnon's the pick. Help get CJ Stroud not on the ground. And if it's not CJ Stroud next year, then he'll be a different quarterback that Pregnon's not going to keep up. Wouldn't hate that. 29 Los Angeles Rams.
With their first pick, I had them going wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. And at 29, they get a faller, Avion Terrell, the corner from Clemson. I did have Terrell falling a little bit because he's not the athletic freak that some of the other corners are, but he's going to be a great slot guy. He's good in man coverage. He has blitzed a lot in college. He had 3 sacks this year, 5 forced fumbles. He's going to go at some point. Rams felt like a good fit for him.
At 29, I have another faller for the Rams. It's a tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. They were running a ton of 2 and 3 tight end sets this year. And I like Colby Parkinson, don't get me wrong, but he's no Kenyon Sadiq. I was trying to find a spot for this guy on the draft board for a while at this point. Early, so I was thinking probably 21. Steelers, I think, could make sense. But after that, Aranda Gatskin for the Chargers, Dallas Goedert for the Eagles, Harold Fannin for the Browns, Colston Loveland for the Bears, Dalton Kincaid, George Kittle, Dalton Schultz, maybe, but I didn't think that was good enough to really make a pick there. Colby Parkinson, Tyler Higbee's getting old at this point. I think it makes sense to go get a real, receiving tight end like Kenyon Sadiq in there for these, 2-3 tight end sets that the Rams love to run. So that would be a steal at 29. 30, the Patriots.
Broncos now, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Why is it like this? My mock draft has the regardless
Oh,
30 Broncos. That's fine.
okay. I just want to make sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure the Broncos lost.
Yeah.
Uh, let's get into it. One of my favorite players in the draft. I have the Broncos going. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety from Toledo. My God, man! When we're done with here today, you got to go watch some videos of this guy's film. He looks like mini Nick Emanwari. And I think Denver needs more hybrid players than another thumper. You know, they have Singleton, Hufunga, Cooper, Greenlaw. Those guys are all still there for a couple more years. So I didn't go linebacker. Nick Emanwari can do it all for you on defense if you are going to go defense.
I don't know
So,
why
I
my
mean,
mock.
McNeil Warren, not Emanwari.
Yeah. I don't know why my mock draft is like this. I did this literally today, so I don't know why
Yeah, that's
the
weird.
Patriots are at 30 and the Broncos are at 31 unless they're trying to promote propaganda or something. So I'll just flip the two picks around.
Yeah.
31 for the Broncos. They have absolute no run game. Is this the right pick? I don't know, but it's the pick I'll give them. Jadarian Price, running back from Notre Dame. Two running backs go in the first round. They both go to the same school. Maybe it's bad decision making by one of them. Probably Jadarian Price to not go to a different school, but fresher legs than Jeremiah Love. The Broncos have absolutely zero run game. J.K. Dobbins, maybe he comes back, but this is, I think, also his third torn ACL in his career, so probably going to be tough to see how he does there. Definitely has the injury-prone tag labeled on him now at this point. And even if you bring him back, probably not going to be for more than like 2-3 mil. RJ Harvey, I don't think is ever going to be a three-down back in the NFL. I think he's a really good receiver. Jadarian Price also kind of is as well too, but I think has a bit more pedigree at being able to take 15 to 20 carries a game. So I do have the Broncos taking Jadarian Price at 30.
New OC,
Now
too.
30. Huh?
New OC, too, in Denver.
Yeah. Maybe Davis Webb. Who knows? Maybe it's the Raiders. 31. These are the ones that really have asterisks on them because we don't know exactly who's going to be picking here, depending on the Super Bowl. So we'll go with the Patriots first at 31.
Yep, that's what I did too. Just envisioning. So the Patriots at 31 get T.J. Parker, edge rusher from Clemson. The theme of these Clemson prospects is going to be they got the full production rather than the rise here. Because Parker's another guy. He had a much better 2024 than he did this year. If you're looking at stats and you're like, why is this guy ranked so high? He had 5 sacks this year. It's because he has great film. He's got great size, 260 pounds. He had an 11 sack year in college. Edge is going to be very confusing. Who's going to go early for them? Who's going to let them fall and trade up in the second round for him? Because there's so many. But TJ Parker is the last edge rusher I have taken in the first.
TJ Parker is the pick for me as well, too, at 31. Patriots don't really have a star edge rusher. I know they have a bunch of guys that are rotationally good. Caleb Chaison's a guy I love watching. But TJ Parker, I think, really makes a lot of sense here as well, too. So edge rusher from Clemson for me and you at 31. Brings up 32, the last pick in here. The Seattle Seahawks looking like our pick to be the Super Bowl champs. Yep. Who do you have them taking here?
After watching Reek Woolen these past couple weeks, I feel like I have to draft his replacement. So I'm going to go Chris Johnson from San Diego State. Chris Johnson's a corner I really have liked watching over the past couple of years. I saw a bunch of him playing against Boise, of course, and I think the rest of the world is finally starting to watch him too. Very tall, physical, great tackler. He has great film in the scramble drill, which is a big thing. You don't want to be holding on those plays in the NFL. They're going to be tighter on it. And he's expected to have elite speed at the combine too. So playing on the outside, I think that would be a perfect replacement for Reek Woolen.
Number 32, I also have the Seahawks going corner. This guy, some of the most fun tape, I'd say, in college. Very physical corner, very good ball skills, but he's 5'9". It's D'Angelo Pons. I think he's perfect for that Seattle defense. I think there always will be questions about him until he plays in the NFL of how good can you really be at the NFL level at that 5'9" corner. Can you really be a guy that sits out there on an island every single time when there's going to be a Puka Nacua that lines up across from you or a Marvin Harrison Jr. just looking at the division, twice a year? I don't know. But every single time he got tested in college, he was, making it worth their while. So D'Angelo Pons is my pick. I think he fits in right into that defense. easy to be fun to watch, I think, in the NFL. Definitely someone that I'll be looking to see how they perform early on. Usually DBs perform pretty shitty early on. That's, nothing new there. There's a learning curve, just a physical learning curve as well, too. And I think D'Angelo Pons is up for the game, and I think he has the identity of that fits right in of the Seattle Seahawks defense. So fun pick there that I like at 32, and I wanted to get his name in here.
Shit, if he runs as well as the other guys, there's always a chance.
Yeah. Maybe he'll shrink an inch as well, too, and make his rapport even funner. But that does it for the round one mock draft. To rounds 2 through 7 will be going on later tonight.
On Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. If we get a Patreon subscriber, I would do that. But regardless, moving on to the second half. MLB offseason stuff. We had a good amount of stuff happen in the last 7 days. Right as we ended the podcast last week, Louis Bob got traded to the Chicago White Sox, or not to the Chicago White Sox, from the Chicago White Sox to the New York Mets for Luis Angel Acuna and Truman Pauly. Truman Pauly I don't know much about. Baby Acuna, the other guy who people obviously know if you play MLB The Show, stuff like that. Ronald Acuna's younger brother. Doesn't have a ton of pop, although did hit 4 homers in a Venezuelan Winter League game earlier this year. So kind of interesting there. Hopefully he's getting the chance to play every single day for the White Sox. Very much like a Chase Madrath. So we'll see. Dominican Chase Madrath is now in the building. Okay. Or Venezuelan Chase Madrath. Yeah, Venezuelan. The 21st, we got some moves as well, too. Cody Bellinger signed a 5-year deal with the New York Yankees. Kind of slipped under my phone a little bit. Like, I didn't see the notification until about 20, 30 minutes after, even though I was on my phone, which is weird. But he's back in the pinstripes as pretty much everybody expected. Another trade that we got as well, too. Pitcher trade. New York Mets get Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers from the Milwaukee Brewers for Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. Couple of top 100 prospects. Pretty consensus top 100 prospects as well, too. Go over to Milwaukee there. Good get for the Brewers and good get for the Mets as well, too. Freddie Peralta, perennial all-star level pitcher, I'd say, close to Cy Young in a couple of years. Mets pitching lab will probably have him in that Cy Young type range. Sproat in the Brewers pitching lab will probably be pretty good as well, too. Jet Williams, no clue how he's going to fit in long-term with their, shortstop, second base situation there. Mate, Luis Pena, Bryce Terang, all these other guys they have as well, too. Cooper Pratt, Jet Williams will maybe find a spot. Who knows? And if he doesn't, then they'll move him for something at some point, you'd imagine. Other moves in that day, Yoan Moncada agreed a 1-year deal to come back to the Angels. He's kind of a sleeper third baseman, had a really good year last year, was hurt off and on for the past 5 years at this point, but I think last year was good enough sample size to get at least a big league contract for another season. Now 31 years old as well, too, which is kind of crazy. We got a 5-for-1 deal the very next day. Mackenzie Gore going to the Texas Rangers for Alejandro Rosario, starting pitcher who has not thrown a pitch in 2 years, I think. But really good stuff. I watched a video about him saying that he has high-end stuff, but he's, could never pitch in the big leagues just because of injury. So we don't really know there. Gavin Feen is the headliner in this deal. I think top 100 prospect, only 19 years old. High school pick last year, I think out of Thousand Oaks or something like that. Good power. Kind of reminds me of a Marcus Semien type of bat a little bit. Devin Fitzgerald, infielder. Some people like him as well, too. Good power speed combo, I believe. Yermy Cabrera, I don't really know anything about. And Abilimic Ortiz, who I actually really like. Really good hitter. Was never going to find a spot in the big leagues with the Rangers. First baseman / outfielder. Probably a DH in the grand scheme of things would be my eyes. But definitely a guy that can have some good offensive production. And I would expect to see in the big league lineup, maybe not opening day for the Nationals, but definitely at some point in the 2026 season. Other moves we got that same day, Taylor Rogers, the lefty of the Rogers, signs a 1-year deal to go back to where he, I think, started his career with the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
I know he was there. I just didn't know if that was where he first started. Former top prospect, turned outfielder, turned first baseman, turned Pirate, turned Oriole, turned Yankee, Marco Luciano is claimed off waivers with the Yankees. Lamont Wade, 1-year contract, minor league deal with the White Sox, former interesting player with the Giants at some points. 23rd, Sir Anthony Dominguez, 2-year deal with the White Sox. Probably closer or setup man, depending on what they want to do with Grant Taylor. But he should get at least an 8th or 9th inning role with them in their 56-win campaign that they have coming up. 24th, weird-looking one here. Craig Kimbrell agrees to a minor league deal with the New York Mets. Probably won't pitch in the big leagues. I think he pitched like 1 inning last year. The stuff really isn't there anymore at this point.
He's trying to pass Jansen in saves or something.
Yeah, but he's going to be pitching 5th inning for the Syracuse Mets for the majority of the year. Also, that same day, though, we did get a 7-year contract extension for Jose Ramirez, which is pretty cool. He's 33 years old right now. It takes him to age 40. I don't know how he's going to age. Probably he'd still be 2020 at 40 years old, knowing Jose Ramirez. But regardless, good for the Guardians to lock him up long term. I think he's been pretty adamant about being okay to not have as much money if he gets to stay in Cleveland, which might be the first person to ever say that in the history of the earth. But good for J-Ram. When you haven't been anywhere else, maybe you don't know anywhere else. So J-Ram stays in Cleveland for most likely the entirety of his career. 25th, we didn't really see anything. 26th, we saw yesterday Harrison Bader agreed to a 2-year deal with the San Francisco Giants. Heard that he will probably be playing center field for them. So Jung-Hoo Lee, who's been playing center field the past couple of years, who's dealt with some injuries, might be moved off there into a corner outfield spot, you would imagine. Trey Mancini, minor league deal with the Angels. Good to see him there. He had a really good year for the Reno Aces last year, AAA affiliate for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Former top prospect Dylan Carlson, minor league deal with the Chicago Cubs. And then today, Marco Luciano designated for assignment again. So he will not be a Yankee. I'd imagine his fourth designated for assignment of the offseason. And Osvaldo Bido also got claimed off of waivers from the Mets after he was a Brave, a Ray, an Oriole, I think, a Met, a Marlin. Like, he's been all over the place this offseason. Regardless, he's in the Angels for right now. And that's where we're at currently at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, January 27th.
All right.
So moving on. Layups bold predictions last week weren't the greatest, but we didn't have a ton of things to pick with. I had Seattle money line for the layup. That went green, of course. Skyler had Jarrett Stidham over 200 passing yards, plus 114. Started off great. Deep bomb to Marvin Mims.
And then the snow came.
Very snowy and did not happen there. So that one goes red, unfortunately. I would have liked that pick, honestly, as well, too. This week, I'm not picking anything. I don't want to pick basketball. I don't want to pick college basketball. There is no football. I miss baseball, man. And we're getting close. College baseball resumes in a couple of weeks. World Baseball Classic a couple of weeks after that. And the next thing you know, the MLB season will resume. But I'm protesting the layups and bold predictions this week.
I don't blame you. There are 2 college games that I wanted to talk about at some time today, and this was the place to put it. So let's just get into it. 2 ranked versus ranked. I got 13 BYU covering at 14 Kansas on Saturday. There is no lineup yet. The last time they played, it was around 3.5. So this is what I wrote down. I'll fix it if I need to. Anyways, AJ DeBonsa against Darren Peterson, who should be back. This could be the 1 and the 2 pick right here. Should be excellent. I feel like every time I'm watching both of these teams, they're coming back from a crazy deficit at the end. I'm going to lean DeBonsa right now, though, because Darren Peterson has missed some time.
Last week, bold prediction, I had Broncos money line. Goes red, but I'm okay with it. It was plus 200 at least at the point that when we took this.
Yeah.
And to lose by 3 points, I think that's usually a good enough read. You had Blake Corum, anytime touchdown. That did not go green either.
Dude, he had a good game.
But a good game for him for sure. Just did not get in the end zone versus that tough Seattle Seahawks defense. Kyron Williams did have a receiving touchdown in that game, I think. This week, again, I'm protesting. I miss baseball. Then you do have like an indoor winter league or something like that comes out. They need to broadcast the Venezuelan Winter League or
It's
something.
called the Savannah Bananas. That's what we got. But yeah, I agree. We're so close though. We just got the cover announcement too, Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, we'll get into that in a second. I got one more thing to say. Number 3 Michigan is playing number 7 Michigan State on Friday, and I'm taking Sparty to win this one. Michigan has had an awesome year, but they've had a couple scary games. They almost blew a game against Ohio State the other night. Right now, they're down to Nebraska at the half. Michigan State has Jeremy Fears Jr., the brother of the New Orleans point, Jeremiah. That's crazy. I just realized Jeremy and Jeremiah. Anyways, he's similar to his brother. He's a shorter, very good shooting guard. He should be a first-round pick. And I'm going to take Sparty to beat Michigan. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, that's going to do it. Next week, Super Bowl preview, 5-minute episode next week. We won't have all the head coaching openings, I'd imagine. I know we're down to 3. We will grade them at some point, but there's no point in grading them now if we, maybe Kubiak doesn't come out and maybe things change based off of grades there, or the Browns get an auto F hire for Jim Schwartz. Whatever happens. But there's 3 openings right now, so it wouldn't feel right to do it quite yet. I know we went to 3 openings just this morning because of Joe Brady. So we have 7 down, but still got 3 to go.
Yeah, half of the league still waiting for their offensive coordinators right now, including us. We fired Erngstad. I mean, we don't need to do this right now, but just expect Frank Reich and expect a 2-15 season, man, unfortunately.
Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowler. How about that? Bill Belichick, not a Hall of Famer.
Doesn't have the accolades.
You didn't play.
Yeah, I had to mess with Alex a little bit on the text this morning. All right.
Man. Yeah. All right. Next week, I don't know. Besides Super Bowl, I really don't know.
Well, we'll have full, in-depth Super Bowl predictions next week. Maybe some weird bets that we wouldn't otherwise be talking about since it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be blueprint prediction for Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance. We're going to predict each song one by one.
Yeah, I don't know any of them. They're not in English.
All right. Well, next week we'll see. We'll get there when we get there.
All right, let's go Seattle. We got another week for it, but get ready for the Pro Bowl games, boys. But I'll be watching the Senior Bowl instead. All right. Have a good night, Kyle. We'll see you next week.